Wait a minute. 665 damage scaling at level 1. He heals, he provides shielding, and he swings around while fighting.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
So if you've played the Old Man and the Whale event, you've probably realized by now that Kuro gave everyone the chance to try out Brant for the first time, and if you head into the gallery, you can also see that the details regarding his character description have been provided. So after messing around with his playstyle for about an hour against Lorelei, I'm gonna break down Brant's kit to help you know what you should expect in terms of his playstyle, quick-swapping animations, and how you should plan his build in advance. But after his release, I'll go in depth about his damage potential and different teams with their respective rotations like I always do for you guys. As always, if this video proves helpful or informative, show some love by leaving a like and subscribe to help support the channel. Now let's talk about his pull value. His Ultra skill will amplify the incoming resonator's fusion damage by 20% and their resonance skill damage by 25%. At the moment, the dedicated fusion DPS that we have in the game so far is Encore, and most of her damage comes from basic attacks. So pulling Brant specifically for Encore is not the best idea since everyone has access to Sanhua. So at the moment, the only character that can fully enjoy Brant's supportive Ultra capability is Chang-Li, if played correctly, because with a quick swap playstyle, you will lose the outro skill buff even if both of the characters are on the field at the same time. But Chang-Li is not really a fan favorite since she's better suited for quick swap playstyles, which is not for everyone. So at the current state of the game, Brant's pull value is mostly based on the player's skill level and if they really enjoy his playstyle as a main DPS. And do keep in mind that he is not restricted to quick swap playstyles like Chang-Li, because if you pop his liberation after an intro and use his full combo that I'm about to show you guys very shortly in this video, you should get full Forte by the time that you land on the ground. And since he scales off basic attacks, everyone can play him with Sanhua, so for now, the focus should be on his damage capability instead of his supportive capabilities. Also keep in mind that his ability to sustain himself with healing and shielding makes him one of the best characters for holograms, because DPS does not really matter when you're up against even the highest difficulty compared to the Tower of Adversity. So as long as your characters are well built, it's more of a survival game, and Brant is perfectly suited for that role to reduce the amount of time that you spend restarting your hologram runs. For the breakdown of his gameplay, let's begin with his resonance skill. This will launch Brant up in the air. When you press the skill button again, he'll plunge to the ground. Keep in mind that this is a viable alternative for Brant to start his mid-air basic attack combos, which we'll get into very shortly. When you hold your basic attack button after his basic attack 2 on the ground, or just pressing your basic attack button after his mid-air combos, will let him use his special grapple to zip around the enemy, which is really satisfying. Now let's get into his liberation. Brant will summon an anchor to smack the enemy with a decent damage scaling at level 1 and a very satisfying sound effect. But the damage of the liberation is not the main point of his usage, because using his liberation makes Brant enter the aflame state lasting for 12 seconds. What this basically does is that it allows Brant to regenerate 2 times the amount of Forte stacks that he can normally get when he uses his mid-air basic attacks, which is absolutely amazing. Now let's get into the juicy part, which is the Forte circuit. As you can see right here, Brant's Forte bar is divided into 4 parts, and you can regenerate the Forte stacks with ground basic attacks and his mid-air basic attacks. But since his mid-air basic attacks deals many instances of damage, it regenerates more Forte stacks compared to the ground version, and it's much more flashy and satisfying to do, so always use that one instead. Now, if you take a closer look at this part right here, when Brant regenerated exactly 25% of his Forte stacks, he healed himself and the entire team, which opens up the possibility of forming some really interesting team comps when he's officially released, since he has healing capabilities. Keep in mind that you can proc his healing when his Forte fills up to 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100% respectively. Now let's get into the best part, which is his mid-air combos. You can go in midair to start his attack chain by using his skill as I mentioned earlier, or by simply jumping if his skill is not available or on cooldown. The midair combos has 4 stages, which deals consecutive attacks. If you keep spamming your basic attacks while he's in midair, this will be stage 1, this will be stage 2, this will be stage 3, and then finally this will be stage 4. In terms of vulnerability, you can dash in midair after every stage of his midair attacks, as you can see right here, or you can cancel out of them with the dash if you're in trouble. To make it even better, he has a passive that increases his midair attacks anti-interruption, and he gains an additional 15% fusion damage bonus, so survivability won't really be an issue, but his skill ceiling requirement is a bit higher compared to characters like Jian and Zhang Yao, since you don't really have full anti-interruption while you're in midair. However, the dodge attempt resets after each basic attack stage in midair, so you can basically dodge forever as long as you don't complete all of the 4 basic attack stages. To do even more damage with his midair basic attacks and look cool while doing it at the same time, his midair attacks have heavy attack versions as well, which you can mix in with the normal basic attacks in midair. If we go back to his basic attack stages, you can see here that he ends every basic attack stage with a flip shot, which indicates that he has finished that particular stage of his basic attacks. How you can do more damage with his air combos is to not release your basic attack button after stage 1 of his midair attacks, and Brant will perform the second stage followed by a spinning heavy attack which looks really cool, delivering 6 hits consecutively. And if you keep holding your basic attack button, he'll do a flip shot and then reset the second stage of his basic attacks, and then follow up with another spinning heavy attack before he'll perform the 3rd and 4th basic attack stages of his air combos and land on the ground. So basically what I'm trying to say is that if you let him do the flip shot after his first basic attack stage, you will get 1 spinning heavy attack, as you guys can see right here, and then he'll proceed with the 3rd and 4th stage of his basic attacks. So by default, if you spam your basic attacks in midair, you only get 4 stages of his basic attacks. But if you hold your basic attacks after the first stage, Brant will not do a flip shot, which indicates that he has not finished his first basic attack stage, allowing you to get additional damage and fill his forte much more faster by adding 2 spinning heavy attacks to the 4 stages of his midair attacks. In simple terms, all I'm trying to say is always hold your basic attack button in midair when you start doing damage, and then spam it after 2 spinning heavy attacks. In case you need to dodge while you're in the middle of the first spinning heavy attack, like I did right here, hold your basic attack button again right after the air dodge animation, and Brant will follow up with the second spinning heavy attack. And that's pretty much everything with his air combos. Keep in mind that Brant skills off basic attack damage, so mastering this combo is the best way to do more damage. Now, if his forte stacks get full, pressing your skill button will allow Brant to start spinning and summon an anchor that drops on the enemy, doing big damage with a very high scaling, even at level 1. This grants Brant and all his teammates a shield, and the amount of shield exists independently for different teammates. As you can see right here, when Brant's shield was completely depleted, Rover's shield was still active. The shield will not make you immune to interruption, so you still need to dodge. Now let's get into his Quickswap animations. You can easily swap out of his heavy attack spinning animations, and when you swap back to him, he will start the spinning heavy attack animation all over again. You can also cancel his Forte Skill animation like I did right here, so for those who are interested in Quickswap playstyles, those 2 animations will be best for animation cancelling. He works even better with Changli because, as you can see right here, Rover needs to plunge before he can do damage since Brant is always in the air. But Changli can use her skill in midair, so both of them can be considered a match made in heaven. I'll dive deeper into his themes and rotations in his dedicated guide video, but for now, let's cover his build so that you guys can pre-farm better stats for him. You need at least a total of 280 energy regen because you'll gain 1650 flat attack from his Forte passive, which does not require any method of activation, so it's pretty much activated all the time. But if you activate his Liberation, that passive will be replaced with a new one That gives him 2600 flat attack for 12 seconds, which is insane. So what you need to do now is to start farming the Tide Breaking Courage set. Get 2 cracked energy region 3 cost with double crit stats on them to give him healthy crit stats with his overall build. In case you're struggling with getting energy region 3 cost from the tacit fields, keep in mind that when you go to the limited time event shop of the Old Man and the Whale event, you can buy malleable elite class echoes, and among them you can see that you can select an energy region main stat that belongs to the Tide Breaking Courage set. That'll give you a total of 74% energy region. If you add the 10% that we get from the 2-piece effect of the Tide Breaking Courage set, which is still not enough for you to reach 280% energy region. So if you want him to reach his maximum damage potential, I highly suggest that you get his weapon, because if you use any other 5-star weapon on him, you'll have to hyper optimize your substats by rolling double crit and energy region, which is nearly impossible. I'm not entirely sure if his weapon is released yet at the time of making this video, but I'm certain that it'll have energy region substats on it to solve the 280% energy region issue from his passive. So if you're planning on getting his weapon, focus on getting a cracked crit rate 4 cost echo with double crit substats on it. But if you can't get his weapon, it's fine. Emerald of Genesis will work, especially if you have higher refinement, since it provides 12.8% energy region at rank 1. Without any energy region substats on your echoes, you should be looking at around 237% energy region with Emerald of Genesis, so hopefully you can gain some energy region on your substats to gain more benefits from his passive that gives you huge attack. I'll show you guys how much total attack you can get with a free-to-play build in his dedicated guide video after his release, so be sure to look forward to it. That's pretty much everything I've learned so far after playing him in the event story quest for hours, so if this video was helpful, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'm sure you'll like this video if YouTube got it right, so be sure to give it a watch and join our Discord community if you're having any issues with the game or you just want a place to chill or hang out. Link will be in the channel description. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.